This is the M1 MacBook Air, which was launched in November 2020 and it's been discontinued in March 2024. And here, this very specific M1 MacBook Air is my personal MacBook Air, and it's the base variant one which I've been using for the past 3+ years. And to be frank, even now, this is a great laptop. And actually, if you're a student or a general casual user who's looking to buy a new or a refurbished Mac for a great deal, well then, this is the one to consider. And I'm saying this out of my personal experience. Because Apple's M series chipsets has been a great leap in performance, efficiency and thermal management, and here the M1 chipset has been the beginning to all of it. And the M1 chipset was so good such that even now, it holds on par with the latest M3 chip. And that's one of the main reasons why the M1 MacBook Air is even now a solid option to consider. And this base variant MacBook Air M1 is a perfect device for users who's looking to do their studies or do some Microsoft Office work like creating spreadsheets, or maybe you want to become an iOS developer, then Xcode works perfectly fine here. Or maybe if you're into casual photo or video editing, that also works fine in here. Or maybe if it's just the casual data entry, then also this laptop is an ideal one. And actually over this period of time, the M1 MacBook Air has aged perfectly, and even with the limited RAM and storage, I've been mostly having a smooth experience. Now firstly, let's talk about the design and the durability. And this design, well, it's the classic MacBook Air design which has this tapering schematic, and to be frank, it's actually not a bad design. Now the newer design format is surely kinda industrial, but I do like this wedge shape, and this is a very sturdy construction too. There is no flex or quality control problems, and the hinge is perfectly balanced, and everything has aged pretty well over the span of 3 years. The keyboard is still clicking fine, and I actually do like the key travel. I have done a lot of note taking, coding, scripting, etc., and still the keyboard works great. And also this Force Touch trackpad, it's just awesome too. So the design and build quality actually has been a strong point for the M1 MacBook Air, and if you're someone who's worried about the durability, well, I can confidently say that this laptop does hold well. And also about the weight and portability, well, this laptop just weighs 1.29 kilograms, and hence carrying it around is easy. So that's also something that makes this laptop a perfect one for students. But then what about the display? Well, as you can see that the display design is of the old format with these chunky bezels, and actually it looks kind of dated in that sense, but then based on the display quality and the experience, well, it's a good panel. This is a 13.3-inch LED backlit display with a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels, and for all the regular laptop stuff like browsing, media consumption, video work, photo editing, this panel looks sharp and clean. And here the display also gets decently bright such that in most of the well-lit indoor scenarios, you won't have any issues with the display. And to be frank, I don't have much complaints about the display quality considering the fact that the MacBook Air M1 will be selling right now for a very competitive price. But I don't like this 720p webcam used here because the quality that it outputs is so bad, and that's a sure weak point of this laptop. And then the stereo speakers, well, they are hidden under these grills, and the quality is actually decent, so if you want to play something, it can fill up a small room. And also you do get a 3.5mm headphone jack on the right side of the laptop, and on the left side you get all the other ports, which is sadly just 2 Thunderbolt USB 4 ports. And this is something that might be a problem for some users, but then once you get used to that dongle life, you're gonna be okay. And yes, you can plug this laptop to an external monitor, but then do keep in mind that the M1 MacBook Air only supports one external display. Now the things that we checked so far might not be of very high significance to many users, and most of the users will surely be wondering, how does this old laptop perform right now? And what are the things that this laptop can handle? And from my user experience, this is actually even now an incredible machine. I'm not saying that it won't throttle under load, but if it's just some data entry or web browsing with 10+ tabs open in Safari, or if you're creating a data-rich spreadsheet, or you're multitasking around 5 to 6 apps, well, all these things, they're just snappy. It's just like using a latest iPhone where apps just open quick, and you can jump through different apps without lag, and the experience for doing all these tasks is great. And I'm talking about the 8GB RAM variant. But then what about using Xcode for compiling or running a lengthy code? Well, for that also, this M1 base variant MacBook Air just works perfectly fine. And while doing such tasks, the laptop won't even generate any heat, and that's a big advantage because this laptop doesn't have a fan. So without a fan and just 8 GB of RAM, what will happen if you push a bit more further by doing some photo editing and video editing? Well, that's the place where the laptop will start to show its weakness. Now, if you're editing a video which doesn't have many overlays and stuff, this laptop can handle it perfectly even if it's a 4K video. But then as the editing gets intense, then you can see the throttling and slowing down, and sometimes the RAM issue pops up. And hence, I didn't prefer to do that many heavy stuff in this laptop. And the throttling usually starts after 10 minutes of heavy load. And therefore, if you're someone who's going to do a lot of compiling and heavy stuff, then you should for sure know that this laptop is not the one for you. And actually here the 256 GB storage is also a restriction for doing extensively heavy stuff, because for instance, if you're doing a lot of Final Cut Pro edits, then the storage can fill up pretty quickly. And about gaming, well, I haven't done much gaming, but I'm pretty sure that this is not a laptop for doing intense gaming. But if you're a casual gamer, well, the App Store has so many iOS titles and they work fine. And talking about App Store, well, that's another advantage because these M series chipsets can run iOS apps. Now, we haven't talked about a very strong point of this laptop, and that's the battery backup. It's just insane. My MacBook Air's battery health is still normal, and I'm getting 8 to 10 hours of usage out of a fully charged battery. And that backup is while doing some stuff like a bit of coding, editing, watching YouTube videos, doing some research work, etc. And this type of battery backup has been consistent. And by the way, this laptop has Touch ID for unlocking, and it works perfectly fast and reliably. So that's how the M1 MacBook Air is doing in 2024. And from all this, you should by now know that whether this laptop will suit you fine. And also for reference, I did get the M2 MacBook Air, and while comparing both these laptops, well, the M2 Air has got some improvements in some places, but then about the general usage, there is no great advantage with the M2 MacBook Air, and I'm pretty sure the same will be the case with the M3 MacBook Air. And that's another reason why the M1 MacBook Air base variant is a great option for students and also for persons who are trying to do the moderate workflow. Well, that's up for this video, guys. Now before you leave, if you're an M1 MacBook Air user, how's your user experience? Leave those thoughts in the comment section, and if you like this video, a like is much appreciated. And a sub to the channel will be nice too. See you again in the next one. Till then, bye.